Greetings, pro wrestling fans. Thank you for joining us at the Look Back podcast. I'm Nick, and I'm sitting here with
the Hitman, a.k.a. Donovan, Donovan.
Pro Wrestling LookBack Show. Another one. A new one. We changed it up.
Yeah, a little different.
Single match. I hope you guys are ready. This is Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart from WrestleMania 12.
The famous IronMan match.
I would say, in my opinion, one of the most famous wrestling matches in the history of professional wrestling, but I'm sure me and you will come to that conclusion over the next, hour or so. Let's see how long we go. But if you guys don't already, give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter at The Lookback Show. You can follow us, like I said, Instagram and Twitter. Send us DMs, messages, comments, concerns, anything you feel. Let us know what you think of the show over there. If you want to send us an email, it's thelookbackshow@gmail.com. You can get in contact with us as well, same as Instagram. Ideas, topics, all that kind of stuff. If you want to get yourself a t-shirt, a mug, all kinds of different stickers, and from the Formula One Look Back, the Pro Wrestling Look Back, and or the Look Back Show, head over to teespring.com/thelookbackshow. Like I said, you can get it all there. Help support the show. We appreciate it. Got some new shirts on there as well if you want the old school ring t-shirt or the, there's all kinds of stuff. Check it out. iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, Google Play, and the videos on YouTube. Hit the subscribe and definitely hit the 5 stars over on iTunes. We'd really appreciate that. If you take the time to look up the show, we would really appreciate you taking the time to hit that 5 stars as well. So definitely check those out. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm at Salsa, SCELSA.
My Twitter is at JustDon44.
And like I always say, the main one, at The Look Back Show on Instagram and Twitter. Give us a follow, stay in contact, and never miss an episode of The Look Back Show. This time, the Pro Wrestling Look Back Show. Like I said, Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart from WrestleMania 12. And I said it once already, I'm going to say it one more time. I think this is debatably, in my opinion, one of, if not the greatest or most talked about, most famous wrestling matches in history. And I know that's a loaded statement, it's a big thing to say, especially to, people that may be bigger pro wrestling fans than me, less pro, I don't know, either way.
Yeah.
It's a big statement, but I just, as a young kid watching wrestling, I got into it in 2004 or so, and this is always one of those matches that you heard lots about, when they did the WrestleMania Rewind or any of these flashbacks to Iron Man matches or, a spotlight on Shawn Michaels' career or, a major transition moment for Bret Hart in his career. Like, it's very, very much and well talked about.
Yeah, I would definitely put it in that top tier of, famous WrestleMania matches / moments too. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely.
With, especially the moment, the crowning moment.
I think Shawn bowing to the belt with the spotlight and the dark lights everywhere, which we'll get to when we get to the end. We're going to talk about everything, kind of the lead up to this match. Some of our thoughts, maybe some of your thoughts when you were watching it back in the day, and how many times may or may not you may have watched this show all the way up through the match and into the conclusion, I guess. But yeah, that's one of the things for me that stands out is that Shawn Michaels bowing to the title in the ring with all it was kind of like a spotlight, but there was more than just one spotlight. It was very, I don't know what the glittery.
It was the Shawn Michaels lighting.
Oh, okay. Is that what it was then? Yeah, okay, so that makes sense with the glittery lighting.
Yeah.
There was something I had said to you because we obviously sat down like we do for the Look Back shows on both sides, Pro Wrestling and Formula One, and we watched the match in this case, not the event. But I had said this to you when we were watching it about how I was like, I want to say something to you right now, but I'm going to wait till we record.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if this is something that it took me this long to realize or if it was just never talked about, or maybe it wasn't something that was even intended to be that way. But I find it weird or interesting that Bret Hart, known as, the Hart, he's got the big heart on his gear.
Yeah.
He's got the heart with the wings, the last name Hart. I know he's the Hitman. He's not the Heart Man. But I found it very interesting that Shawn Michaels is the Heartbreak Kid.
True.
And it's like he's coming in here to break the heart, the Bret Hart.
That's a good
and
one.
When I'm watching the visual of two of them, and one's got broken hearts all over his tights.
Yeah.
And the other one's got pink hearts all over his tights. And I know Bret Hart's had gear in the past that had more hearts on it than what we saw here at WrestleMania 12.
Yeah.
With, I think maybe when he was in the Hart Foundation and it was literally looked like Valentine's Day gear.
Couple of hearts.
But this one more had the big one in the center with the two wings. But either way, I just was thinking, wow, this is not only is there the whole psychology of this the young guy coming up and comer against the more or less, I guess, was Bret Hart a veteran at this time?
Yeah, he was considered the vet.
Yeah, so coming up against the veteran, but not only is it that, but it's you've got, I know, like I said, he's not the Hart man, but he's Bret Hart, and he's got hearts all over his gear against the Heartbreak Kid, who's going to come to break the heart of the Hitman, Bret Hart. And Shawn Michaels. I don't know.
That's an interesting point, dude, that I've never even thought about.
Well, I felt...
It's so obvious, too. Like,
right?
It's a very obvious one that, I don't know, I've never really heard discussions about it either.
I thought of it because of the gear, obviously. Yeah, was the reason. But, and then it's one of the... I don't know if it's Vince. He's a Heartbreak Kid. But it was just... I don't know. It was one of those things where I was like, wow, like the Heartbreak Kid against the Heart.
Yeah.
No way. And this is the most iconic, one of the most iconic rivalries, I would say, in the history of pro wrestling. But
for sure.
Here, I'll get you a bit of my stats and stuff before we get into... I'm going to get you to maybe, if you can, lay a little bit of the land, hopefully kind of set the stage for this match.
Yeah.
I know you've seen a lot of the stuff leading up to it, so we'll talk about some of the promos too. But as we do on both and all the Look Back shows here at the Look Back podcast, I'll get you some of the stats. So the date was March 31st, 1996, looking way back today. The event, like I mentioned before, was WrestleMania 12. The venue was the Arrowhead Pond in Anaheim. Anybody who's not familiar with that arena, it's the Honda Center where the Anaheim Ducks play in Los Angeles, more or less the Los Angeles greater area, Anaheim. And the name has been the Honda Center from 2007 to present. I just didn't know how many people would be familiar with the Arrowhead Pond name.
Yeah.
The attendance was 18,853, and the city, like I just mentioned, was Anaheim, California. First ever IronMan match in the history of the WWF. I think probably the history of top pro wrestling, at least. Like you said, I'm sure there was some sort of Texas Ironman fucking indie show down in 1975 death match, but this is the first official, and I would say 60-minute countdown Ironman match in the history of pro wrestling. So that alone is a pretty big, it was a big moment that they were having this match.
Oh yeah, it was huge, and like the both guys had kind of talked about, you know what I mean? These are two guys who were definitely the right guys for the job, you know what I mean, to set the stage really for the first one. Two guys that you can rely on, two guys that can go, and they also got amazing chemistry together, obviously, in ring. I'm
just thinking about this now as you say that. Do you think I'm making myself crack up here, but one of the biggest reasons we never saw a 60-minute Ironman match is because there was no wrestlers that could go 60 minutes and put on something that's of that okay, you could get, Macho Randy Savage and Steamboat earlier at WrestleManias and long good wrestling matches, but like if you don't have to go that far back to get Hogan and Warrior in the main event of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 6 years is not a huge crazy amount of time. So maybe that's a part of the reason why this had never even been talked about, because if you would have walked in the room and told Hogan and Warrior that they had to go 60 minutes, they would have told you to fucking go somewhere, because I don't think that was happening. Not to take anything away from how good Hogan and Warrior are. It's just they're not those kind of wrestlers.
No, not to say that there maybe was or wasn't guys earlier that could have done it, but in the main event level, probably few and far between.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
Or at least not guys that were, typically highlighted like the Hogans or Warriors. Like maybe we'd have to look a little down the card to the Perfects and the Savages and the Rudes and guys
true.
Like
yeah,
that.
Some of those guys could maybe
mid card.
But I guess Bret was small when he was coming in, making his way through and becoming a top guy in WWF.
Yeah, him and
when
Shawn
he was breaking in,
both considered.
But I mean, he came in before Shawn more or less and really became a top guy.
Yeah,
I'm just assuming. Like I didn't watch all this, so I'm assuming. I mean, we look at them to be equals, but I look at Bret Hart to be somewhat of an elder to Shawn Michaels.
But it's crazy that we do look at it like that, but they're really not that far apart in the time that they entered. Like they were both, like the Hart Foundation was around before the Rockers, but like they were both tag teams going at that time. The Hart Foundation and the Rockers collided a few times.
And I guess in like 95, 94, was that when Bret started to make his way into the heavyweight picture and Shawn was still IC?
Well, when Bret won the title, it was around 92, 93.
Okay, so
like
early.
When he took it from Flair. And then Shawn was in the IC, but he was always right there.
Yeah,
Bret had even said, like, I could always see down the line that me and him were going to, meet up. One thing I did want to say while we're talking about the whole Iron Man, matchups,
Oh, in general, other Ironman.
It's interesting now that we talk about that, because actually, if you really look at, even this is being the first one, if you look at the pace that they do in this one, and then the pace that was in a later one, it's just very, like, this one is
slowed down,
much slower than
Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off.
any of the other Ironman matches that I can think of.
I like that though.
I
the first 30 minutes of this match are very slow, and we'll get to it, but it was done for a reason, and I think they told an incredible story in that first 30 minutes that made that second 30 minutes and overtime.
Yeah.
That you're that much more invested because you had to get through that. It's just, I tell everybody, everything is better more or less when you wait for it. It's it's just how it is. Bret, we had talked about a little bit. He had been a champion prior to this, so 3-time WWF champion going into this match.
Yeah.
I want to ask you this one right off the bat, because, I mean, I'll put my book down here. How many times do you think you've seen this match there, Donovan? Not including today.
More than, let's say more than...
What's the over-under on
like
10?
10? Yeah, I was going to say like more than 10. Maybe a little bit over 10.
Okay, so over 10.
Yeah.
That's pretty wicked.
Maybe more, though. It's hard to say because, dude, with the first...
Why don't we just dial it back? When was the first time you remember watching this show?
So the first time I remember watching this show is like...
this match.
It had to have been... It was in the 96, 97 era.
It was a VHS rental.
Rented the VHS. I can't tell you specifically how far it was from after the actual events taking place, because I don't know, back in the times of renting stuff, it was kind of like you just grabbed what you...
The idea of renting a
WrestleMania
that's 6 months old and not knowing what happened is awesome to me too.
Yeah,
because that's just not something. Even as a kid, I know it's easier, but even as a kid, that's not something that I think would be easy to accomplish in 2020 when we're recording this episode.
Definitely not. Yeah. So I remember watching it several times, like when I rented it, like I was watching like the whole show.
It's wicked. Well, I knew
the match in particular too, because like I was always a really big...
Well, this match was more or less half the show.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah. But I was always a really big fan of both guys. Definitely more so Bret Hart, though, which I feel like is not popular.
I was going to ask you that later on, but yeah.
Yeah. Do you want me to knock it out the way?
No. Yeah. Get into it. Take your time.
But yeah, no, being like I was a huge fan of both guys. So like I remember going back to this match so many times. I don't know. I was just super interested in it as a kid. And then let's go... Flash forward 2 years later when there was a rivalries DVD that came out of the two guys, and they do this whole sit down interview
of Shawn and Bret with JR.
Yeah,
which I'm sure most people, well, not most people, but anybody familiar with the WWE Network has probably seen this because it's been on the WWE Network for many years.
And if not, like, you definitely should go watch it.
Exactly. yeah, 100%.
But
I mean, listen to this first. Keep listening. But then when you're done listening to this,
go back.
Go back and watch Shawn and Bret talk about this match.
So like, yeah, when that came out, I remember during that period having this match be on the DVD, watching it several times again. So
VHS.
No, the DVD.
Oh, you got the DVD.
Rivalries
oh,
DVD
that DVD.
Oh,
it was on there.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I guess that makes perfect sense. Well,
so
obviously it's on there.
Different eras of me watching this match, and then again today.
Today again, wow. So over 10 at least. I just wanted to make sure the listeners knew that you were super familiar with this match. Like most of the look backs I say we do here, it's a first time viewing experience for myself. So obviously I know who won. I know everything there probably is to know. The fact that there was overtime.
Yeah.
And, you know what? I didn't know about the Gorilla Monsoon stuff. We'll talk about in a second. But
one question for you.
Yeah.
Did you know that there was going to be no pinfalls going into the overtime? Did you think maybe it could be 1-1 or something like that?
I knew, and I don't want to disappoint you here, but because of yourself, me and you had talked about, this was one of the things we talk about how bad my memory is. This is one of the things I did remember in me and you having a conversation, I want to say sometime in the last 5 years about this match, and you telling me that there was no falls, and I didn't know until you told me that. But I just remember that conversation, so I knew going into this, I'm like, yeah, there's no falls.
Okay.
Because don't quote me on this, and again, I'm not mad about it, but I don't think I knew that it went to overtime at all, like until that same conversation. I think I just thought it was a 60-minute Ironman match.
Yeah.
Even for a half second today, I kind of forgot, and then I was like, oh yeah, we got more coming after this. But I guess I'll keep going. I didn't finish off with the stats. There was a few things I wanted to get in. The referee for this match, I don't know, obviously for the whole card, we had a bunch of refs, but Earl Hebner.
Yep.
And commentary, I'm sure they were the same for the entire show. The legend himself, Vince McMahon, and Jerry the King Lawler. Don't think I've ever heard the combination of these two on a show in my viewing experience of pro wrestling before.
True. Yeah.
Obviously, I've heard I've obviously heard Jerry Lawler, and I've obviously heard Vince separately.
With who, like Heenan or
Vince?
Jesse Ventura? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, when we watched WrestleMania 1
and
we watched the big event, I'm pretty sure Vince was on commentary for both of those, which you guys can go check out. They're on the feed.
Yep.
WrestleMania 1 Look Back and big event from 1986 at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto.
Even I believe our SummerSlam 1992 Look Back, I believe Vince was doing commentary. I just can't remember with who.
I don't think Jerry Lawler was doing commentary that early.
Oh, not Lawler, yeah.
No, and not in the 80s and not in the early 90s.
Yeah.
So that's why I think this is the first time that I've seen these two paired. Because obviously I've seen hundreds of shows with the King and JR, or even whoever. Vince and other people, or, who was the one that always gets stuck in my head? Oh, JR and Paul Heyman from WrestleMania 17. Because that's another really good team. But these guys were good. I liked it. It was a different, like I said, I never heard these two speak in a team setting before on commentary. And, two-man booths are always the best, in my opinion. So, it was a good
probably really
showing from them.
Closer to the tail end of Vince being on commentary, too, actually. Like in this...
I guess so, yeah.
I guess 97 was probably the end of that.
Well, probably around the time that him and Stone Cold really started to go at it. Mm-hmm. In that same...
Yeah.
Not long before that. I would imagine something like that. Two other little things I wanted to get out before we kind of start talking about the match itself and the promos that we were able to see, some on YouTube actually, and then within the WrestleMania before this match. One is the amount of WrestleMania t-shirts in the crowd by fans. I would buy one. I'm always that kind of guy. When I go to a SummerSlam or whatever show, I like to get that t-shirt, so I have that one and remember going. But
regrets that I live with, not buying t-shirts when I go to
WrestleMania 18. The one guy over here that didn't go. But that was one thing I noticed, is there was a lot of people with that WrestleMania 12 shirt in the crowd. It was a nice shirt, just black shirt, obviously wrestling black shirt, but the orange old school writing WrestleMania and with the Roman numerals. Very good there. And then the only other thing, I just, for anybody who's maybe a newer wrestling fan like myself, or maybe somebody who just only likes current stuff, they don't like to look back. And, well, hey, first of all, thanks for deciding to take your ears and have a listen to the Look Back show. But I just wanted to kind of remind people, and maybe not necessarily remind, but just, I don't know, let people know this is what we had before Kenny and Okada were wrestling for an hour.
Yeah.
Before we had the Kenny and Okada and the Shinsuke and Okada and everybody else in Japanese wrestling that wrestles currently and has been for many years. I'm not taking anything away from any of these guys. They're all incredible wrestlers. But this is, in my opinion, maybe I could be wrong, and there could have been 60-minute IronMan matches happening in Japan for years. But this is when people really started to appreciate really long, at least North American people really started to appreciate really long 60-minute plus single wrestling matches. Mm-hmm. I just wanted to make that,
No, definitely.
It's one of those things. Because you think 60-minute wrestling match, and at least me, first thing that pops into my head is Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
Like when you say 60-minute wrestling match, I picture Kenny Omega and somebody doing their thing.
You know what I think of as well is even earlier, not an Ironman match, but like, you always hear those stories of Flair and Sting going to a draw.
Yes.
I think of those too.
Yep. Not obviously that I saw them, and I didn't even see much of the Kenny Omega, but that is another really good point. Yeah.
But the concept of two guys, going at it for 60 minutes and seeing who can get the most pinfalls, like, come on, this is the classic original.
But to beat a man, you gotta beat the man.
Sorry, I didn't want to cut you off, but it doesn't fully work. But that's kind of the motto of this match.
Definitely, no, that's
what I mean. Maybe not Ric Flair specifically, but
the man. Yeah,
to be the man in the Iron Man match, you got to beat the man.
Definitely,
and especially with this one, which we'll get to in the next little bit. There's got to be a winner.
Yes.
But yeah, we'll talk about a little bit some of these promos that we saw leading in.
Oh, like the
we watched
training.
Yeah, we watched a YouTube video that showed all the training. with Shawn Michaels. It was just a classic. I told you it reminded me of like a "Don't Do Drugs" video from the 1990s. Maybe you're watching in your class and the teacher rolls in the TV on the cart. But just, I don't mean that in the sense of the video itself. I just mean the editing and the quality and the sound and all that kind of stuff. The way that the movie was produced, you could tell it was from the 90s, obviously. But the music, everything was incredible there. Talk a little bit about Super Sack.
Jose Lothario.
Lothario, yeah. And Shawn Michaels and Jose Lothario. How long was this a thing going on in WWF? Or
this was really
at this time.
This was really a thing for basically around this time, and then a little bit after when Shawn was having his run as the champion. Basically, Jose Lothario was, the guy who trained Shawn Michaels, and he was kind of like, he kind of played the role of like a coach.
But was he there at post Rockers? Shawn met this guy and started training with him, or was this something that they had kind of had, like Shawn was with him since day one?
Basically, they threw him in during this period, and it was like, okay, well,
Shawn needs a Stu Hart.
He went back to his. He got his original guy to get him geared up for the biggest match of his life.
That I like,
because the year previously, Shawn was already at the dance and he couldn't get the job done
because he was in the main event of WrestleMania against Diesel at WrestleMania 11.
Yeah, and he couldn't get the job done, right? So now it's a very interesting dynamic too, to like this whole coach role, because it's not so typical that you see like a baby face with a manager or coach or somebody in their corner like that. Like, it's typically the heel, and having that person in their corner help them, do underhanded things to get an advantage. So I always thought that dynamic was like really interesting to have.
The fact that he's actually in his corner, not just in the promo video.
Yeah.
Especially because we didn't get Stu Hart in Brett's corner.
Yeah, I know.
But he was ringside.
He was ringside, yeah.
But yeah, no, I thought that was interesting. Do you know anything about this Super PAC or Super Sack name?
The Super Sack name?
They didn't mention it once when we actually watched the WrestleMania 12 show on the network. But when we watched this YouTube video, and it was like somebody had taken little clips that were inserted in TV show or like commercials, and put them all into one long video.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
I don't know how to explain it, but it was this. Somebody can try and find Shawn Michaels Bret Hart promo build YouTube video before this IronMan match, and it was...
I think what it was is like it was originally a special that was on, and whoever put it on just cut out the shit in between.
Okay, because it was a WWE Saturday night, is what it said originally, and they were kind of, this is what's happening next Sunday, or this Sunday, whenever it was, leading in. It was kind of just them showing... It's very similar, if anybody remembers, the Triple H and John Cena promo videos that they did prior to WrestleMania 23, I want to say. And how they were...
22.
22.
Yeah.
22,
Did they do a lot of stuff like that too?
Oh, yeah. They showed John Cena... I'm sure you've seen that before, where they showed John Cena in his gym training, and then they would show Triple H in his gym training with this legendary...
I do remember a bit of
trainer guy. I think it's because I have the WrestleMania 22 DVD.
Yeah.
So they have those promo videos that you can watch separately on there. So I probably watched them as a kid.
Nice.
But yeah, very similar to that. So they were kind of cutting back and forth between Shawn Michaels. Well, not back and forth. They showed Shawn first.
Yeah.
Training with Jose Lothario. And like you said, he had to go back to his roots. Yeah. And it was hard for me to look at this as Shawn Michaels being a babyface.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, like very hard because of the context of the screw job and everything that I know as not outsider, but like a newer fan, somebody that wasn't watching back then. It was very hard for me to get behind him as a babyface. It was weird. It was almost like, and then when I would see Bret, I'm like, how is he the heel? Like, this doesn't make, to me, he's such the babyface. But
he wasn't, like,
he wasn't, but he kind of was. Like, he would do things that were.
No, I think that this match I would still consider them both
double
babyface
fully.
It wasn't until like the other stuff after this.
That's fair. I mean, you did have Lawler saying the crowd is split here between these two and stuff. I just felt like they portrayed Bret. Maybe he wasn't acting as much in a heel way, but they portrayed him that way. Yeah,
he was definitely starting to.
And it's subtle, but like black tights and white tights, man. Like it, not to get. It's just like white is the color of like the holy, like Shawn going back to Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 25 against the Undertaker, and the help me out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the White Knight.
I don't want to get like I'm getting racy because I'm not. It's more the White Knight against the Dark Knight, like you said. That's kind of more what I meant. And obviously, I don't know how much that played into here because obviously Bret Hart's gear is black anyway. But I don't know.
I think from both guys though, you've seen things that they were both willing to do whatever it took. Like we seen that from both guys. It was just I looked at it as a very competitive two. They were both babyface guys, but they were willing to do it all. Nothing like underhanded. Nobody did anything like low blows or
there was
grab
nothing
the ropes.
like that. Yeah, you're right.
But
the ref got knocked out. It wasn't intentional.
As far as like little things like, when Bret maybe had a headlock, he kind of maybe would grab Shawn's hair for a second, or Shawn kind of giving an extra shove to Bret, or you know what I mean? Little things like that they were both kind of doing. Okay,
that's fair enough. Yeah, and no, you've definitely made me come around a little bit on that one. But I think it's just the way me knowing
the history of
knowing everything that comes after this to now, that it was just tougher for me to look at Shawn that way. I don't know. You guys may have to go back and watch this. I don't know if you want to fact check it. I'm not using it. Don't quote me. But I think Michael Cole was doing the intro for this video. I would put my money that was a young whippersnipper working up in Stamford, Connecticut. And they gave him a script. And they're like, why don't you try reading this for Shawn and Bret's match here at Wrestle? I don't even know if Michael Cole worked in WWF in 96. But if he did, this was definitely an intern young Michael Cole doing this read. And then somebody was like, hey, that kid's pretty good, eh?
Give him a shot.
Maybe we should give him a stick backstage and have him talk to The Rock or something. I don't know. I don't know. If anybody doesn't know what I'm talking about, it's the same promo video on YouTube. Or was it in the actual WrestleMania at this point?
No, this was in the actual WrestleMania.
WrestleMania promo. So in the show prior to the match itself, they had done a promo that they same kind of thing, training and yeah, all that kind of stuff leading up to the match, basically setting the stage, which I love. Even in UFC, which is not something that I watch a lot of. When I get to see those videos each guy kind of training, and then I'm gonna beat him up for this reason, I'm gonna beat him up for that, and then it helps build. Like I would almost want to watch any fight after seeing that.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm a huge fan of those
promo videos.
Yeah, especially seeing the training that guys are doing. Like I feel like it's something we almost, I don't want it to be overdone, but I feel like it's something that's almost I don't get enough of in pro wrestling. But like you said with this WrestleMania 22, I would like to see it in these these big match scenarios. Like,
more of that, more of the like they did again, similar looking back to something that happened in 2019. Yeah. With Gargano and Adam Cole. Yeah, exactly. They did similar stuff. I think Adam Cole showed up at Gargano's gym and was putting headlocks in some of the kids there and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, and I don't know, it's funny, I'm looking in my notes now too, thinking back to the heel babyface stuff. I do have in my notes that babyface Bret and heel Shawn. So I definitely...
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's just looking back now and having all the context and knowing... I don't want to paint the wrong picture, but sometimes Bret can be a little bit bitter in some situations that you've seen with interviews and stuff. So maybe I had that creeping in, but the way that they were portraying it, you're definitely more right. It was definitely more babyface. If anything, more of a heel Shawn, I would say.
In this match in particular?
Like going in.
Oh, yeah.
Like in these videos and stuff. But, if you had to pick.
What? Okay, wait. I want to just know, like, what in particular do you think from maybe even like the training video or something that you could pick out and say that Shawn Michaels was the?
It was, I can't remember specifically what it is in there. It was just, he's very, again, maybe it's a lot of it is the
knowing
how he was.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. His smugness and his wacky Shawn, maybe not wacky Shawn yet, but. Help me out, like being cocky, being a dick backstage, like just that what he was kind of known for, like in what's known now in the business. Maybe that was creeping in too much. Yeah, when I was thinking this,
because this was very much like they didn't want that.
I don't think. They definitely didn't want that.
This was the boyhood dream.
Exactly.
This is the boyhood dream,
and it was. I think what it is I have the context of knowing everything, and it's hard to go back and imagine this kid as like the only little tiny moment that I got in this entire hour and a half that we watched was there was a moment when he had the belt in his hand at the end of this one we'll talk about later. Yeah. That I saw
the boyhood dream.
I did. I saw him look at that belt and go, yeah, I'm sorry, Bret, but this is what I've wanted since I was fucking 6.
Yeah.
Sorry, but sorry, not sorry.
Dude, it's crazy. I don't want to go so far into the end right now, but like you say that too, and I'm now thinking back to when they reached that moment where it was going into overtime, and Bret comes back in the ring, and the look on Shawn's face there, like the pain that he's in already from having his back.
Yeah, from having the
to me that moment even spoke a lot to the baby. Like I felt like the tables turned there, and Bret kind of
became heel.
He just started going.
He just
on
started
and,
beating the shit out of him. He was mad, and he wanted to leave. And we had talked a lot about the stuff that we had seen after we watched that DVD, the rivalries DVD. But yeah, back to the promos. Basically, I just wanted to finish that off. They showed Bret at like swimming, all kinds of stuff, like doing stuff. He cut that one promo though, man, backstage with the sunglasses on. Not the one when he was on TV. Not that one. He was backstage. You could see the cameraman in his sunglasses in the locker room. And he just, again, maybe it's the context, but he wasn't speaking confident enough. He was saying, like, we're going to find out how tough this kid is. Like, he was really, I guess maybe this is the babyface aspect of it coming in. Mm-hmm. He really wasn't acting like it was a sure thing that he was going to win.
Yeah.
By no means was he giving off the mentality like a UFC fighter or an MMA fighter that in their head, if you don't believe that you've already won, then you've already lost.
Yeah.
And I felt that about Bret Hart watching this. I'll talk about it in more detail when we get into the match, and I don't think he wrestled that way. With the way he was wrestling was like he respected all of this.
Yeah. And
he respected,
Shawn's ability?
Yeah, and just Shawn getting the belt too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know how to explain it, because I just felt like when he cut that promo, it wasn't like when I watch a current day promo and somebody straight up says, like, you're going to friggin' lose, or you're not walking out with the belt. Like, he's like, we're going to see who's going to walk out with the belt. You don't sound very confident. You know what I mean? Or was it him giving all the respect he could to Shawn Michaels? Is that more what I was seeing rather than a lack of confidence?
I almost want to say it's a combination of two things. I think that it's a combination of Bret Hart has even said himself in these rivalries, like he was never he was not
promo guy.
Yeah, and he was not really known for that.
No,
and
it's not even that he cut a bad.
No, it wasn't a bad promo, but it's just like sometimes his delivery can come off that way. Like his delivery can come off like,
we'll see what happens.
Like
I just don't think somebody should be saying that in his position.
Yeah,
you should be saying you'll see what happens.
Yeah,
not we'll see how this match goes.
Yeah.
It's no, when I walk out of the WrestleMania as the WWF champion, when that bell rings and they raise my hand because I'm the champion, then we'll see how tough Shawn Michaels is. Not kind of saying it the other... Like, I'm not trying to take anything away from Bret Hart. Yeah. I just felt like... I was like, he doesn't sound very confident.
But see, I also do want to... Like, I think it could be more to, like, playing into the babyface side of it. Like,
exactly,
not wanting to come off so,
smug and cocky, he's going to beat him.
Yeah.
No, I totally understand that.
So I think maybe a bit of both. Bret's delivery and also the fact of him, trying to be the good guy as well.
Yeah. These promos, last thing I had written here, though, was they just felt like I was watching a Rocky movie.
I loved that music tribute to Bret Hart.
It was amazing. They showed Stu, wrapping him up like a fucking pretzel down in the dungeon, and shout out to Stu Hart, legend of wrestling trainers, if there ever was one.
You know what I was curious of? Why was there a musical tribute to Bret and not one for Shawn though? Like I thought that was interesting.
Musical, like
that tribute at the end of the training videos.
Maybe because he's a champion.
That's what I was gonna ask here now too. Maybe it's just because Bret was the champ, so we're gonna.
Well, if you want to move on to more, we can move into more of the kind of the match itself and what happened in it. Speaking of the way that they treated the champion, I really appreciated the fact that, yes, Shawn Michaels had maybe the best entrance in the history of professional wrestling, but he still had to come out first.
Yeah.
That meant that meant a lot to me. It almost, right there.
The way one
of those. That's the way it should be, yes. Because, yes, this guy's going to win. Yes, he may be a bigger deal right now. Yes, this is a way 1,000 times better entrance than we're about to give Bret Hart. Mm-hmm. But he's not the champion, so no, he's not coming out last. I don't care how extravagant this entrance is.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the Shawn Michaels entrance? Because, we might as well, before we talk about the match, we got to.
Oh, definitely. Man, this is one of those, we talk about moments a lot on these shows that we do, these look back shows. This is one of those moments that when you think of, classic WrestleMania in general.
Oh, sorry, not yet. Later. My bad.
WrestleMania in general, like you do think of Shawn coming down.
Absolutely.
And I forgot that he land like where he lands, right in the crowd too. I love that.
And what about JR? He's like, or not J. I keep saying JR, Jerry the King. He's like, oh, he landed with his click, boys. And Vince is like, I don't think it mattered where he landed.
He could have landed. Vince was loving Shawn, man. So Vince goes, it doesn't matter where he landed. He has fans all over this arena.
Oh, Vince's voice, man. I don't know, like how he did that for 3 hours. It's the best thing in the world. Like he just. The passion within him was incredible.
Yeah, man.
And then Bret Hart, normal entrance, basic stuff.
Yep.
I don't know
what to call it.
Yeah, we're shaking our arms back and forth on either side. But the classic Bret Hart, he gave the sunglasses to the kid at the side of the ring.
Always wanted to be that kid.
Yeah, you've said that to me many
Multiple
times. Many times. Do you know, it's funny, just back to the Shawn Michaels entrance. Do you know what I think of first always, and it's gonna be, I thought of it today when it happened. No.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to down them. I didn't want to.
No, that's okay. No, not at all. I don't blame you for going there, for thinking that. Because it's this very sad moment in wrestling history, and it's very related to that to this Shawn Michaels moment. But no, and this was like I said to you when we were watching. This was the first time that I saw not only this match in full, but this entrance in a non-flashback setting, actually watching it. But what I think of when I see that entrance is Kurt Angle, and Kurt Angle complaining in the build-up to WrestleMania 21 about how in 1996 he won a freaking gold medal with a freaking broken neck.
Oh, yeah.
And all anybody had to talk about was Shawn Michaels gliding down from the rafters at WrestleMania 12. And obviously, maybe it wasn't like he portrayed it that way when they were building up the feud at 21. That I'm sure there was more people talking about the gold medal for the Olympics that the USA won than Shawn Michaels specifically at WrestleMania. But the way that he built it, it was like that irked him so much that moment took away his moment. So yeah, I don't know. It's just, that's my own personal memorable moment thinking of it is, as soon as I saw Shawn at the top of that rafters, all I was thinking was fucking Kurt Angle complaining. I'm like, I can just picture Kurt Angle saying, all I remember is Shawn Michaels sliding down the rafters in 1996. And it was just, I don't know. That's the thing I remember when I think Shawn. And it's obviously, I don't know if there's anybody else in the world that has that memory when they see Shawn Michaels sliding down at WrestleMania 12 that they think about Kurt Angle complaining about it at WrestleMania 21.
That's a good one. And crazy to think about too, man. Like you bringing that up, even just sparking a whole thing in my brain of, wow, yeah, this is 1996. At this time, Kurt Angle is
winning a gold medal at the Olympics.
Like, it's just, whoa, crazy.
Yeah, that's where Kurt Angle was.
Yeah.
Which it's on YouTube. You can watch him win that gold medal.
Oh, yeah, I've seen that.
Many times. Enough time. Oh, Donovan's like, yeah, you think I didn't know that already? Come on, what the fuck? But we got, I don't know, I think it may have been before the entrances, but either way, we got the president, apparently, of the WWF.
Mr. Monsoon himself.
Gorilla Monsoon coming out there. Was this announced like prior to this match, or was that a well-known thing in 96?
That was a known thing.
Jack Tunney had stepped down, obviously, whenever that was, and Monsoon had stepped in. So still nobody, unless you were a real insider listening to Wade Keller or something, you didn't know Vince was running the company.
I don't know. I guess as an adult in that time period, like you might have known, because if you know, like Vince's dad and everything like that.
Senior.
But me as a kid, dude, like 1996, like, I don't know. Watching it, I was like,
no, definitely not. If they told you this is the president of WWF, Gorilla Monsoon, and it's a guy that you're familiar of, the voice of WWF for a very long time,
and there was no.
If you had been a fan, I'm sure you didn't think much. Yeah, okay, he's the president now.
Yeah,
he got promoted.
Yeah, because I think he was even the commissioner at one point.
There you go. So they had made him look like he was. I wonder how much his salary was being bumped up, or if it was all just for show.
He was paid.
Oh, I'm sure he was paid. I just mean, I wonder if he was getting a raise every time he got a fake promotion in the storyline. But yeah, we'll move on forward. One thing I don't know, you weren't looking at me, but I looked like a little kid during that Shawn Michaels entrance, man. As much as I was thinking about that Kurt Angle stuff, I had a fucking grin from ear to ear on my face, and I was just I don't know. I felt like a little kid there for 15, 20 seconds when he was sliding down that thing, because it was like, wow, like this is cool. And it's just not something you see.
Yeah. I do remember you saying that. You're like, this is fucking awesome. Like I heard.
Yeah.
But I was kind of glued into it too.
This is fucking cool. I wrote it on my paper and I put quotation marks because I didn't want to forget. And it was just, I felt like a little kid. You can see, 60 million kickouts and 80 million flips and 16 chair shots not to the forehead. Yeah. And it's not, I don't know. This was just one of those things that you can't bottle it.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say.
You can't bottle that emotion that I felt when he was coming down. And I knew this. I've seen it a million fucking times, just not live, not in the moment that it was happening.
Because I don't think we're going to revisit the promo videos again that we talked about, that little package we watched. So I want to give one more homage and love to it, because I felt that same energy from that whatever song that was doing the Bret Hart video package. I was watching that and I was just like, holy fuck. Like it brought me right back to my childhood, like being such a Bret Hart fan, seeing all the kids with the shirts, and I was like, fuck, I own some of those shirts.
That's what I was going to say. I think
I was like,
it's the same sort of feeling that you got there, because well, you said it. You're like, I feel like I'm a kid again. Yeah. This is the music, and the Bret Hart was the shit. You told me, you said, your mom was a big fan of him at the time, and him being Canadian. Shout out. Obviously, we're big fans here at the Pro Wrestling and, Look Back podcast. But yeah, one other thing I wanted to say before we actually get to more or less the match itself here, but help me with the name again.
Jose Lothario?
Jose Lothario coming out first to Shawn Michaels' music and pointing to the heavens, as Vince said, and pointing double point up top.
This is the point before the point, man. This is the WrestleMania. This is the WrestleMania point. This is where it all began, dude. Like this is the point before the point.
I don't even know what to say to that. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But the boyhood dream. Vince says it before the match even starts. I didn't realize that was like the way that this is being built. Like you had said that too when we were talking about it here leading in. But yeah, Vince and I wrote it down. Will the boyhood dream come true tonight? And obviously, if you remember, it did. Obviously, but
it came up in those promos. The one on the WrestleMania show and the other video we watched previously too.
Yeah.
To go a little bit to the backstory of it again. So Shawn, like, this is the year because he did the double Royal Rumble shit, and that's how he got to these positions, which is crazy in itself.
So he won the Royal Rumble 2 years in a row
from the beginning.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think the first year is when he was, because
he was the first one in the Rumble and he won it.
No, well, he didn't, because in the history books, correct me if I'm wrong, like as my memory like serves me, I think he only did it from the number one slot once, right? So the first year that he won, I think he was technically number 2 and Bulldog was number 1, but they both survived till the end. But Shawn was a heel, and he wins. And even going into that Mania where he fights Diesel, he's the heel
against Diesel.
Well,
and wasn't Diesel his heater for a long time?
Yes. So there was that whole storyline
too,
as well,
of course. Him turning on the guy that was protecting him, probably,
and Diesel getting to the top before him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that too.
So there was that, and now like a year later, Shawn went back at that Rumble the second time around. He was number 1. He went through, did the gauntlet, survived, won, goes on to face Bret, and he's the good guy now. Crazy story, man. Like just the way
No, leading into it, I mean, you want to talk a little bit about the stuff that you know from that DVD as well? Just kind of the Bret talking about how there wasn't that much animosity going into the match.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we can touch on it, I guess, throughout too. Like, yeah. Really going into this, there wasn't all that hatred that we're so. It's so known when we think of Bret and Shawn, everybody automatically thinks Montreal screw job.
Like they said in that thing, they worked themselves into a shoot.
Basically,
they for so long they were making people think that they hated each other that it became something that was real.
And a lot of that happened, post this match. So even like going into this, it's like there wasn't that underlying hatred there between the two guys. It was more after this.
Yeah, no, they did a good job in this match, obviously, to make it look like the people really.
Oh yeah.
Like the two, make the people think that they really hated each other. The one thing I want to talk about again before, I don't know how much of the match you actually want to talk about itself specifically. We can kind of run through it.
Yeah.
I guess this has been more of just us looking back at this match and the moments leading up to it and the significance of it itself.
Yeah.
what was I going to get to here? The intro. I don't know. Never mind. Do you want to get to?
Were you going to ask me the T-shirt question? Was that now or was that later? Because I mean, I can wait for it too. Like I just.
You know what? Yeah. Well, I feel like.
Yeah, I've given it away already.
I feel like you may have given parts of it away, but yeah. Let's go. If you had to pick a T-shirt between Shawn and Bret, you're in line at WrestleMania 12, and you're going to watch.
Oh yeah, it was definitely Bret. Like that's easy.
Is there anything about like why specifically?
So actually, to elaborate on my point here a little bit more, because like I said, dude, I feel like the popular thing. Shawn Michaels is the popular, everybody's favorite wrestler or everybody's best wrestler. Like if you ask a wrestler or a fan, like they're gonna probably say Shawn Michaels.
I feel like it's different in Canada though. Like I feel like that answer
I'd be so
would be
fucking curious to
that
know.
answer. I'm not saying it would be predominantly more Bret Hart, but it would be predominantly more Bret Hart than it would be
anywhere else.
Anywhere else.
True.
I'm not even saying like he may even have more fans here.
Yeah.
Than Shawn Michaels, but I don't know. The fact that it's close and he's Canadian says something about it in itself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And it's not even that though. When I think of it, I just like I just always liked Bret Hart's style a little bit more. Not to take anything away from Shawn Michaels, but like I said, I feel like that's the cool answer is Shawn Michaels. That's the cool answer to say that he's my favorite. Like, but if you ask me, I put Bret in my favorites before I put Shawn. But that's just me personally.
Yeah, I think
probably has a lot to do with me, being.
He was your guy as a kid, so that's always going to be something that you stick to.
Yeah.
As well. I had remembered here slightly what I was going to ask you about and talk about quickly again is just they talked about the two of them because we watched more stuff leading into this. Them getting there the day of.
Yeah.
WrestleMania and getting together for 5, 10, half an hour.
Yeah.
Not long.
He said like 5 minutes.
He said he said a few minutes.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that meant, that's why I'm giving them benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
We'll push it to a half an hour, let's say. And basically putting the match together piece by piece by piece.
Yeah.
Crazy. I don't know. To me, that's insane. The fact that they put together an over an hour long wrestling match in chunks, obviously.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, the first chunk was, okay, we're gonna be in a headlock here like they were.
Yeah.
And we're gonna go back and forth from the headlocks and the what's that move where he dragged them down?
Oh, like the headlock into like the slide, I guess.
Sliding,
baseball slide.
Exactly, yeah. But I don't know. It's incredible to think that, to think that these two guys showed up that day, came up with this match, and then executed it perfectly later.
Yeah.
All in the same day. Like Bret said it himself in the thing. He's like, the match was a masterpiece. I don't think I've done anything that significant.
Like perfect.
Again, perfect again. He talked about, what was it, the little moment. He said there was a point where we had to start getting ready for the last 5 minutes of the match.
And he looked up.
And he went up to the turnbuckle and they were about to start doing this thing that they had planned at the 5-minute mark. And he looked up at the clock and it was 4 minutes and 59 seconds. And he thought to himself, holy shit, I don't think we could have done this any more perfectly. Everything has gone exactly the way that we planned it. Not to say that they planned, okay, left punch, right punch, headlock, but like what they had planned.
Yeah.
And he said it, I don't know if two professional wrestlers could do what they did so quickly and so well ever again. I don't know if it's happened again.
I think even to add to the beauty of it too is like that's the other thing. When I think of it, at least, and I don't know for sure, but I like to think that that's not the case, is that they didn't obviously put every single that, like, some things that were probably just they're just working.
Well, it's not like when you
but
hear stories of Savage and Macho Man and the whole we're gonna lock up and then we're gonna
piece by piece.
Exactly.
I think it was
not that that's bad. It's just that's the way some people like to work.
And I think that the moments, like certain spots, which we're gonna get to in a few minutes here on the match, like certain key spots were probably landmark moments where they knew, okay, we're here now, and then we know what's next. Mm-hmm. But everything in between, like the headlocks,
they're just figuring it out.
And the little pinfall. Like, I don't think that stuff was.
No, I think it was transitions. Like when this happens, once we do this, then we're moving into part 2,
where it's your turn.
Exactly.
And that's fucking.
You
impressive,
can lead for a bit. Yeah, absolutely. The fact that they made it that day and they came up with it that day. incredible. Like we said before, when you're done listening to this, go check out Rivalries, Bret Hart versus Shawn Michaels on the network. And I mean, watch the match itself. But let's get to it here, Don. I have to bust this out. I might as well.
Hit it, Jack.
I don't. Hey, don't stop. I'm not that quick, man. I gotta find it. I got too many friggin' things here.
Wait. Hit it, Jack.
There we go. Let's get to the match here. I don't want to spend overly long talking about it. We've went a lot longer than I think we planned in the intro here. Not because I don't want to. I just, if anybody really wants to get the gist of what happened in the match, I think the best way to do that is to probably watch the match.
Yes, sir.
But we talked about it, the test of strengths and the headlocks in the first 30 minutes of this match. I mean, I think we could probably talk about it in a chunk. But the test of strength at the beginning was classic for me. When I seen them get the classic shoulder, collar and elbow tie up.
Yep.
You're supposed to help me here, Don. You're the one that has done a few of these things in your past. The collar and elbow tie up at the beginning, incredible. I'm happy they started that way.
Yeah.
It's what you want to see, especially in a big kind of grudge match-ish type scenario that they were in. I love the way the clock looked, and I said to you when it popped up, I love that clock is not going to be there the whole match.
Yeah.
And I knew. I didn't even know for sure yet, but I had a feeling. I'm like, they're not going to leave that there the whole time. It's 1996. We're not idiots. Mm-hmm. They know that we don't need the clock there for 60 minutes. That's not how we treat it currently, but that's a separate conversation for a separate day. I just wanted to make a point that them keeping the clock on the screen and then choosing to take it off at certain points was very smart and not needed. Slow pace, though.
Yeah, very much so for the first chunk of the match, right?
Yeah, first, I would say 30 minutes at least.
And
there was moments, but...
It was interesting because, like, that first little bit, like, we did have a lot. I want to say the first 10 minutes was Bret Hart with the headlock on Shawn.
Oh, for sure.
Getting back to the headlock.
Getting up and down. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't 10 minutes laying on the ground of a headlock. But you could see some of the crowd was getting agitated and thinking, okay, when are we going to see some shit here? I'm sure they knew, we got 60 minutes of this to come. So,
for me, what I loved about it, and, like, one of the reasons I revisit this match so much, too, and with any Bret Hart match is, like, the crispness of the headlock and the takeover and just it's just
how tight he has it
so
applied.
Perfect, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, we've talked about it. There's nobody. Bret's really good at a lot of things, but I don't think there's anybody better at a headlock or running into the turnbuckle chest first than Bret Hart. Shawn might be the best at hitting it back first, but as far as chest first and running straight into it, Bret will make it look like his heart came up into his fucking throat, and he had to push it back down on the way down.
What did you think of? Because I noticed Lawler throwing this out there a lot too. So Bret did have control in the beginning, but really Shawn was getting the better of him in the wrestling exchanges after that headlock.
Very happy, very, very happy you brought that up because I thought it was a good point, and it happened throughout the match, not just in the first 30 minutes, but. It brought me back to Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle, WrestleMania 21.
Ah, yes.
And how Shawn Michaels kept using wrestling moves to beat Kurt Angle, and how the commentators were very taken back by the fact we didn't expect to see Shawn Michaels out wrestling Kurt Angle here today.
Yeah.
And it's very similar that however many, again, shit at math, WrestleMania 12, 21, whatever, I don't know.
Oh, the Shawn one?
Well, I'm just trying to say how many years in between, whatever it was.
Yeah.
That he's kind of going back to the same that he used against Bret Hart to fight Kurt Angle, which isn't something I would have realized in the amount of times I've watched him fight Kurt Angle at 21, that being one of my favorite WrestleMania cards, he's using the style that he, I would have loved, because, Bret Hart probably at that time wasn't the most loved guy in WWE, so I would have loved at the time to get, Shawn Michaels is going back to the style that he used to defeat Bret Hart in the IronMan match back at WrestleMania 12. That would have been, those are the little insights that you'd love to hear, and I don't recall, I've watched that match many times, that commentary making any comments about him wrestling similar style that he had, or having to go back to the same well that he went back to, or that he went to when he wrestled Bret Hart so many years ago.
And not to even get...
I don't know if I sound cliche, but...
No. It makes total sense. But not to get too stuck on it. But I bet you that he was probably sitting there during that Kurt Angle match, and he loved every moment of that. Because they're so similar. Like, Bret and Kurt, they're very different, but very similar stylistically, too.
Absolutely.
So,
Kurt's is, I would say, a little more mobile. A little bit. With the flips and stuff that he,
Yeah. No, yeah, for sure.
That's all. Not to say Bret's not mobile. I just mean if you're comparing only those two.
Yeah, like they're very different, but very similar too.
Yeah. Especially with the beginnings of their matches and the headlocks and the tie-ups and all that kind of stuff. When you start getting into the amount of suplexes that Kurt Angle does, obviously different.
Yeah.
But yeah, Freddie Blassie and Stu Hart were ringside there. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I had made a note. This was obviously prior to us watching the behind-the-scenes thing there, but just how much do you think this match was talked about ahead of time? Minimal? ? And I wrote that in my notes before we watched that thing, talking, seeing Bret Hart and Shawn talk about how they basically didn't prep for this match. What was I going to say? What did you have anything like other beginning of the match that you want to talk about?
No, it was really very quick moment of it. It was in like the first, honestly, 2 minutes though. I really enjoyed the exchange because this was the quick pace before we got into the slower pace of the match where Shawn grabbed Bret and went to like suplex him.
Yeah.
But so he landed on his stomach. And they got into a little bit of an exchange of reversals, and it was very. I like that moment. It was interesting.
Well, that's just kind of the chain wrestling, style
exactly,
the Bret. What was I going to say? I keep forgetting my notes here because I didn't highlight anything today. My bad. This is what I was talking about earlier. I just want to make a point because this is where I wrote it down that Bret was wrestling like he thought he could beat Shawn Michaels, but I didn't feel like he was talking like thought he could beat Shawn Michaels. Yeah. But the way he was wrestling was like the mannerisms were like he thinks he can beat the shit out of this guy. You know what I mean? It doesn't
very
seem
confidently.
Exactly, very where he felt unconfident in his promo. And I don't mean his promo ability. I mean like the character promo work and like. But anyway, that's kind of my point, and that's where I had noticed it was at this point here. We got Shawn super kicking one of the.
I guess a timekeeper.
Perhaps. Yeah. Which I feel like probably wasn't done that much back then, no?
No,
like that kind of thing where timekeepers are people outside of referees getting hit.
Yeah,
even referees.
And this is a like key moment in the matchup to me. Because it's something that when I think of this match, I like automatically I do think of this moment.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because the impact of the fucking kick on the first time, because the angle that you get from the camera is so Bret Hart, I'll explain it to the listeners here. Like, so Bret Hart gets thrown into the turnbuckle very hard on the outside of the ring.
Yep.
Kind of stumbles, lands over into the timekeeper's like lap, and he's laying there, and the camera is just on Bret. So you don't know where Shawn is, and the next thing you know is whack. You just get this smacking
foot out of nowhere.
Bret moves, and the guy gets juiced in the face. Like
I don't want to sound like a mark, but all I was thinking about was like prior to that, like backstage, like, all right, Shawn's like, all right, so when he lands on you, he's going to jump off you, and then I'm going to kick you in the face. Just make sure you're fucking ready, because if your fucking face is, a half of a foot too much forward, I'm going to kick you in the face. So make sure you're here. Because, I don't think that's the kind of thing you can just not plan.
Yeah.
Like, especially to have somebody who's not a professional wrestler taking a bump like that. That's all I was picturing was just Shawn like, hey, you make sure your head's in the right spot, because if it's not, I'm kicking you in the face.
Like, to me, this is a big moment in because like I always think of this moment in the matchup, and I don't know if that goes back to the younger fan of me being like so unable to tell. Like I've told you this, whether it was on a show or not, that I could never see Shawn Michaels. Like I just thought he was, he was juicing guys. Like I didn't.
Oh yeah.
I wasn't catching.
You thought he was
the
actually.
things.
Yeah, you didn't see him smacking the side of his leg when he was
the magician
kicking them in the face.
You know what I mean? He was.
Yeah,
I was highly impressed.
One of the Young Bucks.
So
who I like, but still.
Especially in that first angle, it's just it's such a quick flash, man. Like it's amazing.
Yeah,
it's amazing. I almost think the third replay doesn't do it justice.
Like it's too many almost.
Like the second replay, the first replay was good enough. I didn't need another one because the other one to me is when I can kind of it took away from it a little bit. It starts
to look a little.
Yeah,
I see what you mean.
Nonetheless, though, great.
Yeah, 42 minutes to go here. We got another headlock from Bret, and this is one of my favorite things in wrestling. Ask him.
Yeah.
Ask him.
Yeah.
And you're just getting you're yelling at the referee to ask him, and just, I don't know. And then, again, this is the kind of other stuff that I had already talked about, but Shawn and that spot where he was holding his arm, one foot on his neck, one foot on under his armpit kind of thing.
Yeah, trying to like rip the shoulder out of the socket almost.
It reminded me of Kurt Angle. Like it reminded me of something that Kurt Angle would do in the way that like when Bret tried to stand up and
that was crazy.
Shawn was still, his back on the ground holding his arm.
Yeah.
And Bret couldn't stand up.
Bret tried to stomp towards his head, but couldn't get it.
Couldn't reach it.
Rolled back, Shawn rolled it back. That was a crazy. That was one of the little. There was a lot of little moments in this match that I forgot about. As much as I remember, there was the super kick, the dives to the outside and things like that. Little things like this, man, I was very, very impressed with.
Yeah, no, and it wasn't. I would say at this point, 33 minutes to go, it was still more or less slow-ish paced. They weren't picking it up too crazy. I remember there was a beautiful, I gotta say it, catapult into the corner. One of my favorite moves.
Yeah.
And it was, you get Shawn Michaels having a catapult done to him, and he's gonna jump like a motherfucker. Yeah. So it looked great. 30 minutes, referee, both men down, knee to the head, and then a very nice power slam from Bret post that. But do you want to talk a little bit about how that knee kind of went down in the corner? It was weird.
The knee to the corner that...
Bret was on the top rope and Shawn was down, and then the ref was trying to tell Bret to come down, and I don't know if Shawn pulled him down and his knee kind of hit Shawn in the head, and then the ref kind of fell over as well. It was kind of weird.
Oh, yeah. It looked like... I thought Bret was going to do a bulldog.
I didn't know what it was. It looked like Shawn pulled him down.
Yeah, but he kind of did get him a bit with the knee on the back of the head, but then
the ref
still
also took it too.
Yeah.
All three men are down, as Vince would say. And then this one here, man... Right after the power slam that I talked about, I think this Jesus Murphy, this pile driver from Bret Hart might have been one of the best pile drivers I've ever seen in my life. And I don't know if it was a combination of the confidence and the trust that Shawn Michaels had in Bret Hart, because Shawn Michaels' arms were flailing, his legs were split sideways. It was just very... I don't know. It visually appealing.
Oh, yeah.
And Bret jumped and landed. He didn't just do the old, I'm going to fall backwards on my butt here. He jumped and landed, and Shawn bounced, but you could tell that his head didn't hit the mat. It was just fucking perfect. Yeah. If you could do a pile driver like that every time, they would not be banned. It would not be a move. I don't even think it would be a move, and I don't want to take anything away from the move, but they made it look so clean that I don't think it would be looked at like a squirmy move if that's what it looked like every time.
I always squirm at the pile driver.
I do too. I'm trying to give them enough credit that they did it so smoothly that it's like, if you know pro wrestling and you watch this specific pile driver at WrestleMania 12, Bret Hart on Shawn Michaels, you'd say, okay, it's all right. Shawn's all right.
Yeah.
It's not one of those ones that you watch and you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Is he okay? And don't get me wrong, those happen when they look like a botch, but those happen when they don't look like a botch too, and it's just a regular one. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I just mean this was, and I know I'm spending too much time on it, but it was just it was a quality pile driver.
Excellent
from Bret Hart.
Execution. He is that for a reason.
Exactly. And they started picking up the pace. At this point, Shawn Michaels jumped to outside the ring. They didn't say it, but I was waiting for one of the commentators to say it. He flattened him there because he literally looked like the camera angle that they showed, the first one at least, like you said, I think the replay kind of ruined it.
Yeah.
It looked like he just flattened Shawn Michaels, or flattened Bret like a pancake, because it was like you see Shawn flying and then they both just went invisible under the crowd.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That was another good moment. And then how about the Dawn spot? Get into it. Explain this one. I know it's hard to explain wrestling moves in audio, but...
So, it's something that,
he's got him in for a backslide.
I've rarely seen, you see guys do a backslide pin where both arms are kind of locked in and they're facing back to back.
Which isn't even that alone isn't even the most popular move.
But I love it. It's so tiny, dude. But, so they're kind of pulling for leverage, each guy, and then Shawn is Bret flips over Shawn's back, landing on his feet, but then Shawn gets him in for a small package.
And it all just, it works really.
Such a minimal thing, but that's a move, dude, again, that I almost forgot. I forgot about it, but now watching it back, I'm like, fuck, I remember.
And it kind of felt real. It felt like, oh, maybe we could, maybe if I was a guy had me like that, I might just want to roll backwards over.
Pulling for leverage,
go over his back.
And then for Shawn to grab the pin after, awesome stuff.
No, absolutely. I have two questions here, but I don't know if... I feel like maybe we should save them. Remind me if I forget, and we'll talk about these after we get to the end of the actual match, because I want to just keep flowing through the match itself. 20 minutes to go. fatigue is definitely a major factor at this point. They both look absolutely exhausted.
Yeah.
Don't know how much of that is selling and how much of that is actual exhaustion. Both of their heads were soaked, and I'm not talking about the Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns type of conditioner soaked. I mean, soaking wet from sweat.
Yeah.
And then again, I'm just gonna keep. You tell me when there's stuff you want to talk about that you remember, but I'm just gonna keep flowing through my notes. And there was one kick out from Bret that was amazing. Shawn had him in just a regular power bomb style pin.
Yeah.
Like he didn't hit him with a power bomb, but the same position you would be in if you hit a Batista bomb on somebody.
Yeah.
And the way that Bret Hart kicked out of the pin was he kind of scissor kicked his legs together and hit Shawn Michaels in both ears, I would say, or the temples with both kneecaps. And I don't know, just a little thing that Bret Hart, another one of those little tiny, I don't know, mannerisms, I guess you could call them, that Bret Hart has.
Now, I don't know if this is around the same time or a little bit after, but there was the point too where Bret had, he had Shawn down and he had the leg split. Looked like he was going to headbutt him in the groin, but he headbutts him in the abdomen. Abdomen area.
So I'm so happy you wrote that, because I may have missed it or I'm not sure, but I wrote it in my notes and we haven't talked about it.
Yeah.
And it's one of the things that
because it was great.
I think I just remembered why I'm not seeing it and where it is in my notes. We'll find out later.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It was just a great little spot too. Another one of those little things, because it's like, it looked like
he headbutted him in the crotch.
groin, but even he said to the ref, he
looks at the ref and points at his abs, and he's like, "Yep, I hit him in the abs." And that was a memorable moment for me. If that's not a spoiler.
And it's another one that you don't really like. You don't see that.
No.
Along with the leverage into the small pack, like these are little things that are like, they're so tiny, but they make such a difference.
When you add them all together, you get a great performance, and that's what we had here. Jose gets hit by Shawn, falling over the rope, back and forth at this point, and Bret dives through the ropes.
And then Jose got hit again.
to kind of wait for the count out.
Yeah.
After he had went back in.
Yeah.
Jose got hit twice there.
Yeah.
He was selling pretty good, I'll give him that. Like I said, he looked like a combination of one of the Guerrero brothers and which one, I'm bad at this, Cheech and Chong, which one is the shorter one? Like, hey, man. Not the one that's got the bushier hair.
You would might be have that answer before me.
Shit. Okay. Well, for anybody who's familiar with Cheech and Chong, it's not the guy with the long hair. The one that's more shorter and balding, and he's the one that's in Spy Kids. If you remember that. But anyway.
See, I more so know the other guy from that 70s show. But that's a whole nother topic.
But that's what I was going to say, is I was like, one of them is on that 70s show, and I don't think it's the guy that I'm talking about. But these are more roundtable topics. Come back for the roundtable if you want more random discussion from the Look Back crew. But we'll keep going forward. Like I said, he took a hit there, and then Bret Hart was waiting for the count. But I want you to talk about the weird rules that I noticed here, and you picked up on a little bit later in the show.
Yeah. So I guess at this point in time, when it came to a count, I mean, as we know, we're pretty accustomed to in wrestling the 10 count in most cases. But if two guys are outside the ring and the ref's counting, one guy, if he kind of slides under, he can break the count like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Like if I'm in the ring and you're outside the ring and Donovan's getting counted out, and I don't want him to get counted out,
you can kind of wave your hand under the bottom rope.
If we're both outside the ring, I meant to say, I can roll in the ring and restart the count. Roll right back out.
Yeah. So in this match, we see in the case of the wrestlers actually being able to break the count by, I guess,
speaking to the ref,
approaching the ref. Yeah.
I guess the way they had it is so Shawn Michaels was outside the ring. Bret Hart was inside the ring, and this had happened earlier in another match we were watching before we kind of were getting ready for this. Anyway, Shawn Michaels was outside the ring, Bret Hart's inside the ring, and the ref is counting 1, 2, 3, and then Bret Hart goes to talk to Earl Hebner for a second, and then Earl Hebner turns back around and starts counting 1 again.
Yeah.
And then the commentary made a comment that, Bret was an idiot, or he did something stupid there. Why would he break the count?
Why would he break the count? Yeah.
And me and you realize, that's what they're doing, because earlier in the night when one of the matches...
was in this match? Yeah, it was in the very beginning.
It was the very beginning, and then it happened again. And I said to you, I'm like, why did he just... I'm like, he was at 6, and then now he just started counting to 1. But it was because I think at that time Shawn had broken up the count, or it might have been Bret too, I don't know. Either way, weird rules that you can break up the count just by distracting the referee or talking to him. Basically, I guess they're punishing you. It's like, let the ref do his fucking job.
Yeah.
Don't you want to win? You want to win the match? Let the fucking referee. That's a good. Don't bug him.
That makes sense.
That's the way I looked at it. At least. Crowd was pretty divided.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
Like they said it on commentary, but it wasn't one of those. They weren't lying.
Yeah.
It wasn't like they were trying to paint a picture that wasn't there.
Yeah.
The crowd was divided in this match for sure. There was kids that were Bret Hart fans, and there was kids and women and all kinds of people that were Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart fans.
I've seen both, yeah. It was really cool.
Another one, again, I guess 10 minutes left in the match. We had a nice camel clutch from Bret Hart. Not full camel clutch, but more of like a holding the chin and applying kind of, submission to his lower back and chin. But I thought this was another great... Jerry Lawler had some really good moments, I felt like, in this match.
Yeah.
Just roll over on him. Roll over on him. And then Vince is like, yeah, that's all he needs to do is just get an arm. It looks like that's all one of these men here got to do is get an arm on him and he can win the match. And I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, no, Lawler...
Very smart thinking because... I don't know.
No, I was just going to say Lawler, like I brought it up to you during the match too. Like there's a lot of times that Lawler would he would pose questions that were very reasonable to ask.
Yeah, you said that.
And really like Vince kind of was, that's a good question. Like, I don't know.
It's a good one, Jerry. Why the fuck are you asking me on air?
Like, for example, he goes, what happens if, he's got him in the sleep, or what happens if he puts him to sleep? Can he pin him 3 times? Like, how does that work? What's going to happen then? Like, he had a lot of questions.
I'm sure Vince is like, why the fuck, man?
Shut up.
What the hell? We're not fucking backstage. I don't want the freaking viewers to think this. But, and then this one bugged the shit out of me. Well, there was lots of submissions nearing the end because we're in the final 10 minutes or so of the match here, so we were trying to get some submission finishes. But the friggin' director, whoever the director of WrestleMania 12 was...
Yeah, there was some... He had some...
Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart are both down, and Shawn Michaels does the classic Shawn Michaels kip up, and he kips himself up, kick up, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what the proper name is. And the director misses it.
Yeah.
He cuts to the crowd, and we got a shot of some kid going crazy, getting excited. It's like, hey, we all wanted to see Shawn Michaels just do the kip up there. I don't know, that pissed me off, especially at WrestleMania in this, of all matches. Like I said, the main event of like one of the most, biggest WrestleMania matches ever. I did not know that they miss the kip up.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So, I don't know, get a new director, but I'm sure he's retired at this point. Yeah. And then Michael's just building on momentum at this point. And
yeah, dude, was it near the end here, correct me if I'm wrong, like where he hits the Hurricane Rana and he hits those quick punches.
Those quick punches, yeah.
That was
Jerry again had made a comment. This was probably a little bit earlier. He's like, well, Shawn Michaels took most of the beginning of this match, and now Bret Hart's coming back at him. And I didn't really feel like that was the case. Like, I feel like the beginning was first 10 minutes or so we talked about Bret had him in a headlock for the...
Yeah.
And Jerry was making a point about how the first 30 minutes was all Shawn. And I was like, I don't know about that.
Yeah. No,
this match it wasn't so cookie cutter.
So cookie cutter back and forth?
No, but it had a lot of back and forth. It wasn't like 10 minutes, 10 minutes, 10 minutes. It was... I don't know. It flowed nicely.
Yeah, it was really well.
And it
well
took
done.
them 10 minutes to set it up, as we heard them talk about, which is crazy. But basically, this all led to Shawn Michaels going for the big elbow drop.
Yep.
And he catches him. This is another thing I'm very familiar with seeing, or it's a famous, replayed moment, I would say, in wrestling history. But that's Shawn Michaels going for the elbow drop. Bret Hart catches him. Shawn lands on his back, and Bret flips him into the sharpshooter.
This is in the final.
Famous moment, too.
It was great.
I would say a memorable moment. Maybe I should write that. Memorable moments. Yeah. And then that was it. He basically had him in that sharpshooter from the 1 minute 30-second mark all the way to the point that they hit 0. I would say around there, because it was 2 minutes when Shawn was climbing to go to the top rope.
Yeah, was it that long?
Yeah.
Well, he did 2. There was one elbow drop that he connected, and that might have been the 2 minute one. He got the 1-2 kick out.
It was at least a minute that sharpshooter was applied.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Because they stressed, we can move right on to it, there must be a winner, but they stressed after the match, because we'll get to it, the bell went to 0, the clock went to 0, the bell rang, the sharpshooter was hit, Bret stopped, let go, and started to walk away. But they were talking about the fact that when the match restarted, he went straight for his back.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's not going to be long now. That sharpshooter was applied way too long for this match to go on any farther, and that's why Bret was grabbing his tights. This is obviously post having Gorilla Monsoon come in and restart the match and say there must be a winner. Bret was grabbing his tights at the bottom and punching him in like the tailbone or the lower back. And I was thinking like, that's weird. But then I was like, oh, it's because of the sharpshooter. And the commentary helped me kind of realize that. So that all made sense. I really appreciated that. But yeah, like I said, Gorilla Monsoon came out. He basically said there must be a winner. Bret was already leaving. Bret was like at the friggin' Jumbotron if they had one back there. They did. But he was getting ready to leave, and then I think it was it Howard Finkel, I would imagine, who we didn't talk about. I guess he was only doing the announcing at the beginning, but Howard Finkel had made the match will continue and there must be a winner.
And then Bret Hart goes,
I don't mean to make fun of Howard either.
No,
I'm trying to emulate him, not make fun of him. And then Bret started beating him up. He hit him with a couple slams, and then this happened unclimactically or all too quickly. I don't know what you want to say. But for me, this all happened way too fast.
Oh, the ending?
The ending, yeah. The double, I mean, we had one super kick that kind of had both guys down.
Yeah.
And then
Shawn
got up relatively quickly, went to the corner, stomped a couple times, 1, 2, 3, boom, and the match was over.
No, but
it happened for someone who's never seen it, not knowing... I thought they were going to wrestle another 10 or 15 minutes.
Oh, the ending itself wasn't very long, like the overtime per
no,
se, right?
No.
The overtime per se.
From Bret beating him up,
very,
I'm not trying to discredit this match, man. This is one of my favorite wrestling matches ever now after watching it. But I felt like Bret, when they restarted the match, I felt like Bret really had his number. He was really beating the shit out of Shawn, and then Shawn got that quick super kick in, which I guess is his finisher. It's a devastating move. It's going to knock Bret out. And then he kind of more or less got to that corner. He only stomped like 2-3 times, hit him with that super kick, and I knew that was it because I knew the way that he's laying on him when he pins him. But you give your thoughts, because this was me watching it as a first-time experience. It felt very abrupt and quick.
Yeah, so...
Not the match, obviously, but the finish.
I wouldn't... Okay, so...
Because the match was over an hour.
I'm going to go back to right before... In the closing moments before we get to overtime, so where Shawn hits the first elbow drop, like, this is where I wouldn't necessarily say that... Like, it was still very back and forth, because like we said, in the last 2 minutes, both guys were turning it on and going for more pinfalls.
And submissions. Yeah,
it was just...
Yeah.
And so Shawn, when he hit that first elbow drop, and he doesn't connect on the pin, and then he goes... to the well again for the second one, and he this is where Bret catches him. We get the sharpshooter, he locks it in. So Bret's got control up until the clock goes, right? And like I said in the beginning of the show too, like that, we can see the agony on Shawn's face as Bret re-enters the ring. He's in pain, and you can see it on his face. Bret is attacking the back. Shawn's trying to get away. He's attacking the back, but then I like it because the super kick at this time, there's not 20 of them to be delivered. So the first one he hit was very out of nowhere. Boom, he hits him, right? And Bret goes down. They're both down because Shawn's in pain. Bret's just got fucking clocked in the head.
Yeah, and I guess the other guy we did see, he went out on a fucking stretcher from the super kick.
And what I thought was sick about this moment here is that they're both down. And then like the commentator, Lawler brought it up. You see Bret, he kind of sits up a little and he's trying to get up. And he's like, when do you see, Shawn Michaels hit the super kick and the guy gets up before him? We never see that.
Yeah.
And Bret still can't get up.
I didn't pick up on that. I would have felt different if I didn't notice that Bret was starting to get up, and the commentary made a point about how the guy who took the move is getting up quicker than the guy who gave the move, because the guy who gave the move is already fucking, his tank is on empty.
There. Yeah. But I love this little moment. It was cool because Bret's like, he's kind of keeling, like holding, he's holding his head in his stomach, and he sits, but he falls back, and he sits again, falls back.
Yeah, no, that's a great
really
point.
Get up. And then when they get to, when Bret gets up,
Shawn goes to the corner.
And yeah, he doesn't really.
It was like
I
two
don't even
stomps.
Know if he hit I didn't even really
like two,
he
maybe
hit
three.
A couple, boom,
but
boom.
I was anticipating like this is the childhood boyhood dream.
Yeah,
this is like the crowning moment of crowning moments. I figured we were gonna get the whole.
Oh no, yeah.
2, 3. Like I thought we were really gonna build it up, which I'm not mad about. it was shocking or jarring. I was expecting something totally different.
And see, that's what I like of it too, because I think if Shawn's tuning the band. he gives him too much. Brett spent too much time. You got to go.
You got to just do it. End this now.
And he already hit him with one, and he couldn't even get to him. So to hit him again, and then just the way he falls on him, I thought it was.
No, the way he falls on everything is iconic, memorable moment. It's everything there is. It's like I said. I'll ask you now. I told you to remind me before when we get to the end of the match. Is this the most famous wrestling match of both their careers? Has Shawn Michaels ever been in a match that's more quote unquote famous than this? And has Bret Hart ever been in a match that is quote unquote more famous, than this?
I hate to say it because like I think it's the common opinion, but like I feel like everyone talks about the fucking screw job, man. With not to say that more than this, I mean. When everyone thinks of Bret and Shawn,
but I don't mean Bret and Shawn here.
No, I know.
I mean, like, look at their careers separately. Do they have bigger matches in each of their separate careers?
I think
maybe Shawn Michaels with Undertaker at WrestleMania 25, but Bret Hart, I don't think so.
I think
has another match that's on par with this.
I think Bret and Austin is pretty talked about too. Like
that's fair.
And it sucks. Because like that match is really good too, the Screwjob match itself, but the moment at the end overpowers so much, and I think that match is most famous, one of the most famous matches in Bret's career. For Shawn,
not for good reasons.
For Shawn, this is a big one, but I don't know, man. He did a lot in that later run of his career where I think he gets like that are more famous than this in the grander scheme, even down to like. In the history books, and to me, not like no, but like when we look back, you know, when you see that moment of when he returned and he's wearing the jeans and he fucking hits Triple H at SummerSlam with a super kick, and
of
like
course.
All the stuff with Taker and him winning the belt, bloody back after years. Like I think, not to discredit this at all, but I think they both have had you know, a couple of other things that people think about before they think of this.
Fair enough. Yeah, I don't know if I agree with you on that one personally, but we have different wrestling histories, I think, within our own, what we've seen and what we haven't seen and that kind of stuff. So I would have to say that I think that this, personally, in my opinion, is each of their moments of their career, I would say. Like, if you only had to give me one moment of each of their careers, I mean, I don't want to say that for Bret because it's a match that he loses, but for me, this is how I feel. Second one I wanted to ask you, good answer, by the way. Is this a top 3 or top 2 or the one WrestleMania match of all time? Is it in the top 3 is the question.
Like on my personal scale or just in an overall?
Bring this back.
I guess.
Let's bring the listeners into the conversation a little bit that me and you had prior to sitting down and watching and recording this today. But, you know, in some of the more famous wrestling matches in the history of WrestleMania, you know, you've got Bret Hart and Austin, WrestleMania 13. You've got Andre Hogan, WrestleMania 3. You've got Macho Man Randy Savage and Steamboat, I want to say WrestleMania 6. Don't quote me. Is it 6? It might be later.
No, I think it's earlier.
It might be. Oh, 3.
Yeah,
maybe.
3.
It is. It's the same one as Hogan and Andre.
Yeah.
You're right, because 6 is...
6 is Warrior and Hogan.
Warrior Hogan?
Yeah.
And doesn't Flair fight somebody at 6?
No.
No? I don't know. Anyway. Either way, is this in that conversation with some of those matches, your Shawn Michaels, your Undertaker, even if you want to include it, Hardy Boys, Dudley Boys, Edge and Christian at WrestleMania 17. Like, there's matches that, in my opinion, are in a different box than others.
Yeah.
Is this one of those ones that you put in the upper, that you think, not even that you put, that you think should be regarded as one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time?
Yeah. For me, yes.
Yeah.
And what I think of the overall perspective, because how many times we said it, and we're going to get to it in a few minutes here, is like, how many times do we see that moment with Shawn at the end crying at the belt? Like, that's
the boyhood dream
very well known
has come true
thing in the wrestling.
That's the clip I should have. Like, I should have got that clip before today. I feel like it's an inside joke now on this show that we don't have enough clips.
Certain ones.
But either way, what a match, man.
Yeah.
What an experience to do it. It's been nice to change it up here on the Look Back Show and looks more specifically at a single match. I think we spent about as much time talking about one match as we do sometimes an entire pay-per-view, but we still got a few things we got to get to.
Yes.
I want to change it up. How many Meltzers are we giving this match?
Shit, I did not see this coming.
Mr. Meltzer.
I'm excited. You know what, dude?
Not Mr. Meltzer, Mr. Donovan.
I rarely do this. I like they said it, man. It was perfect. I give it a 5.
Yeah.
To me, it was everything was done perfectly. Like, I don't think you could have.
I was gonna say 4.5, but like after actually having the conversation, like I wrote 4.5.
Yeah.
But actually talking about it for an hour and a half almost in one match. Yeah, I think it is a 5. I think it's a perfect. I think it's hard to say that this match isn't perfect. I mean, take the words of Bret Hart himself.
Yeah.
I don't think two other pro wrestlers could put together a match in that short amount of time that well. So yeah, 4.5, 5. I would say 5 is my final answer.
5. 2 perfect scores.
Perfect scores for. I think that's the first time it's happened on the Look Back Show. I mean, we're not rating an entire pay-per-view perfect here, but still, it's 2 perfect scores from the original members of the Pro Wrestling Look Back here. But there's only one other thing, I think, unless I'm missing anything that we got time for, and I don't know. You can add in your own if you want, but it still may work.
Moments of the
match.
night. Dun, dun. Moments of
match.
the night.
Match. Moments of the match. This is the moments of the match.
Oh, we changed it up. This is the moment.
You like that editing we did, man?
We have to do it on the fly here. That's how I like it to be raw, as they do in WWE and WWF. It's raw. So there you go. These are the moments of the match. I'm keeping that jingle whether we're on the Formula One Look Back Show or wherever we are. Thank you, Jim Johnson, for the track there, Chris Masters. We much appreciate it. But yeah, moments of the match, moments of the night, more or less, same as we do on the full Look Back Show. These are moments that we're going to remember about this match. 5 years, 10 years, 50 years, forever, whenever somebody brings up WrestleMania 12 and Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart for the WWF Championship. What are some honorable mentions maybe and a few moments of the night for you, Donovan, unless you want me to go first?
No, I gotta I'll go first.
Honorable mentions and by all means. No, you looked like you had to think. That's why I was like, should I cover here?
So many. I feel like I got a lot of honorable mentions.
Fair enough. He's got more honorable mentions and moments of the night for this match than he does for most pay-per-views.
So definitely, man, the screenshot, like the matchup screen with Bret and Shawn that we got
at the very beginning.
Yeah, the matchup screen with that Mania logo in particular that we seen all on the shirts in the crowd.
Yep.
It's like the fucking, what is it? The 20th Century Fox. You know that. It looks like that.
Yeah.
That
No. I know exactly what you.
Yellow.
The same. Yeah, the 20th Century Fox logo. If people are I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yeah, that image of them. That's just an honorable mention here. The image of Bret and Shawn with the still shot in the Mania logo IronMan match in the back, like that. That's
a good pick.
Oh, always gonna be there. The beat, the WrestleMania beat.
Yeah, we don't do that anymore. That's a bit of an OG Look Back Show thing, bringing the sounds of the pay-per-view into the show. But if we have our own music. But if we did, let me tell you,
that might have.
Might have. No, that would have. It would have, my friend. So it definitely would have kicked off this show.
I'm not gonna get into song and dance here, but it's kind of yeah, classic 90s WrestleMania beat.
Look it up, WrestleMania 12 theme song.
And it's in other Manias too. Like that's what I'm saying. I think of this beat in the early Manias, but
as WrestleMania, the sounds of WrestleMania.
We're here.
We've made it.
Exactly. So that WrestleMania beat, honorable mention to that as well. Now into the actual moments, I guess.
Moments of the night number 3.
So moments of the night number 3. Shawn Michaels and that kick that I talked about, man.
The one on the
timekeeper.
The timekeeper.
Because if I had to pick one of the little spots in the match, like the pancake drop or this or the missile dive that Bret does to Shawn.
You mean just spots?
Little spots, yeah. If I had to pick one, like this one, I just always.
It's weird that you remember it so much, but I think it's because it's the out of nowhere thing. And the first time you saw it, you probably like
what the fuck?
Spilt your popcorn and fucking jumped out of your chair.
Yeah.
That ever since that moment when you were 8 and you saw it for the first time, or however old you were, I think that's probably a big factor as to why it's such a memorable moment for you.
Yeah. So that is that is number 3. Number 2 to me is definitely, this is not to get Mr. Obvious here, but the Shawn Michaels coming down the entrance.
Yeah, it's a given. It's the moment, I think, of the Mania, let alone the match.
So that is definitely, and the number 1 moment for me, I don't want to have it be so stereotypical and say, I want to say the whole end of the match really is, you know what I mean? Because even down to Bret Hart in the aisleway with the pink lighting on him.
Yep. Yeah.
And the look on his face and him kind of taking off the straps.
How about somebody throwing him a Canadian flag and him grabbing it and whipping it the other way? Yeah. I couldn't believe that. Not that I was mad as a Canadian. I just mean I couldn't believe that.
Oh yeah, he was
selling it that hard, and we talked about, or we watched it after too, and that was all talked about.
Yeah,
him leaving angry. And, walking out, leaving early, not shaking his hand. He said Owen texted him the next day and asked him, the boys think you're what's going on? You got some heat? Or he's like, great, tell him I'm pissed.
We do.
Like,
that image of Bret with the pink lighting.
Not texting him. I don't know if it would have texted him in 1997.
No, he called him.
Either way.
But no, like, I was going, like, my number 1 moment was going to be the celebration of Shawn, because like that is so iconic, and it's what I think of when I think of this match.
Like
him crying with the belt,
times.
and even him flexing, doing his pose with the belt.
The one
on his
arm
shoulder.
flex, the belt. Yeah, he just did one arm. I noticed that.
Famous fucking pose.
And he did it for every side of the ring, which I appreciated.
He was getting his Hogan on.
Yeah. Tell him to get the fuck out of my ring.
Tell him to get the fuck out of my ring.
Which we didn't talk about that in the end. I don't know if it's worth bringing up. I mean, you want to get into it now, but give me your final moment of the night. I guess this is part of your final moment.
Yeah, this is all a part of it. So basically the ending, you know what I mean? The ending. Like whether down to Shawn and with the title and the celebration.
Post-match, post-pin.
And right before that, Bret in the aisleway being like, what the fuck? I got to come back. It's just 60 minutes. You can see him mouthing
it. You mean like before the overtime?
Yeah. So that moment of Bret, and then the finale, the grand finale with Shawn's celebration. That's my number 1 for this.
Yeah, no, but I want to get in a little bit.
About the
just about what we had watched there, and how there was speculation over what Shawn had said to the referee. Prior to the match.
So you can see
post-match,
Shawn, Bret standing there, and he doesn't shake his hand. He's kind of looking at Shawn, and Shawn said something to Earl actually before that. And you can see him kind of mouthing something. You got to watch it a few times to make it out, but he basically says, like, tell him to get the hell out of here.
Yeah, so I can celebrate.
So I can celebrate. Like, this is my moment, kind of.
Which was, I mean, it is his moment, but you got to give respect to the guy. And I know they were telling a story there, too, and like we talked about, it was planned that Bret was going to be so mad and leave abruptly, but I still think that's very... I mean, it's looking at it in hindsight now, but it's super disrespectful to do to Bret Hart, especially a guy that just dropped the title to
pass the torch.
You know what I mean?
The best for the listeners, though, if you haven't watched the rivalry interview, like you got to watch in particular them talking about it. That
segment when they're talking to each other. Yeah,
Shawn's kind of, probably like I'll own up to it. Like he puts his hand up.
He's like, I'll take like that probably,
And Bret's basically saying, well, yeah, like
it's on tape.
Watch the. It was just a funny little moment.
Yeah, Shawn's like, oh, he's like, but I don't remember saying it.
Yeah.
Like, so you own up to it, you admit, but you don't. Either way, it's not a big deal. We're not trying to take heat with Shawn Michaels or anybody here. It was just an interesting thing that at the end of the match that he would say something like that, and obviously. We know because of that Rivalries DVD, and it's interesting for us because we're wrestling fans, and it's like, oh, how were they feeling backstage and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, it's I don't know, interesting stuff. I'll get you some of mine. I didn't go crazy with my stuff tonight. I got to be honest. Honorable mentions was the slow pace of the match at the beginning, and just really having the wherewithal. And I guess at the time you didn't have as much crazy matches going on, but you did have to compete with WCW, so. just them taking that slow pace throughout the whole first 30 or so minutes of the match. I thought that was a really, I don't know, memorable and honorable mention that I wanted to make. Another one was the music. I liked it too.
Yeah.
It's something, just an honorable mention that I liked. I didn't think going in that would be something from such an older show that would stick out to me. But my 3 honorable mentions here, number 3 is Bret telling the ref that he hit him in the abs. I just, honestly, that's why I said you're going to hear this later in the memorable moments. Maybe it's a bit of a spoiler, but that was something I wrote, and I've never seen that. I think that's why it was a memorable moment. I've never seen a wrestler do something that the ref may or may not have thought be illegal, and then the wrestler specifically show the referee, no, I hit him in the abs. And, it wasn't like super descriptive, but he just tapped his abs to kind of show him, like, I got him in the abs. Yeah. And we already talked about this, but it's because I had never seen that happen before. It was a memorable moment for me. Number 2, I think if you didn't already guess, I'm sure you would have, but that fucking pile driver from Bret Hart onto Shawn Michaels is something I'm always going to remember. And if anybody ever says, like, oh, that's the most dangerous move in the history of professional wrestling, I'm going to tell you to go watch Bret Hart deliver a pile driver to Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 12 and say, well, if you do it like that every time, then it certainly is not the most dangerous move in professional wrestling. So that's number 2. And number 1, I got cliche as fuck on this one, buddy, and I don't do it often on the round table, Jesus, on the LookBack Show. Wow, that was rough. But it's Shawn's entrance, and it was my reaction, man. Like, seeing that in its entirety for the first time and having that genuine inside reaction as if I was like 8 years old, and it was like, that's super cool. Like, how often do I say that's fucking cool, man? That is so cool. Like, it was just, it was over. Yeah. And I thought it was wicked. I mean, rounding it off with the whole Kurt Angle stuff that I had talked about earlier, and it reminded me of that. All that aside, it was just a very, very cool visual, and aside from a Paul Burchill entering on a rope, do we get anything even remotely similar to that, since that. And no, I don't want Paul Burchill to come back anytime soon. That's the only thing I could think of as far as somebody swinging or gliding into the ring.
No, you don't think Sting?
Oh, did he used to come right down?
We did the drop, that
but that was WCW.
Result, yeah.
When he would come straight down from like a wire, like he was like entering a bank, breaking into a bank or something like that. Bank robber Sting. But yeah, no, I think that's the best of that. But yeah, Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart, WrestleMania 12. I mean, if there's nothing else that you want to say, Donovan, we can pretty much, I think we can get out of here and get ready, start planning our next Pro Wrestling LookBack Show, where we look back at the matches.
5 out of 5. Hit it, Jack.
That's it, buddy. The Pro Wrestling LookBack Show. This is another one. Like I said, we appreciate all the listeners. We appreciate everybody, checking out the shows, the Formula One LookBack shows, the roundtables, the Pro Wrestling LookBack shows, of course. And we hope you enjoy this. Change it up. We changed it up when we did it. Our plan was to go a little bit shorter than normal. We went a little bit, but not much. We hope that this is a little more specific. Maybe it's a little more memorable for some people. You guys remember this match, and I'm hoping that maybe, you get more out of this one, and maybe this helps you want to go check out some of the lookbacks that we've done in the past. But either way, if you're listening this far into the show and the music's kicked in and I'm blabbering my gums and you're still listening, then I appreciate it. So we appreciate all the downloads and listens. But if you don't already, go check us out on Instagram and Twitter at The LookBack Show. Send us DMs, comments, concerns. Never miss an episode. Stay updated for the pictures and everything. All the shows get released there on Instagram, so you'll never miss an episode if you're following us on the social media platforms. The social media. I sound like I'm an old man. Don't forget to follow us at thelookbackshow@gmail.com. Like I always say, ideas, topics, questions, interactions, anything, send it to us that way. I am the old man. I'll take the emails old school way. Teespring.com/thelookbackshow is where you can get a shirt, a mug, a sticker, all kinds of merchandise from us. Help support the show. Let us know if there's stuff you want. You want different colors, or you want just maybe a shirt with our faces on it. If that's something that somebody would be willing to walk around this planet with, let us know. Maybe we can make that happen too. Maybe some cartoon stuff, and we'll talk to some artists. I don't know. I'm really rambling now at the end here, Don. But iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, Google Play. Videos are on YouTube. Hit the 5 stars on iTunes. We really appreciate that. It helps out the show. It helps get more people listening. And I mean, that's kind of the idea. As much as we enjoy doing this, the more people listen, it works out better for us. But if you want, follow me on Twitter. As always, I don't know what interest you'd have to follow me, but follow me at Salsa, SCELSA.
My Twitter is at JustDon44.
Making you crack up a bit over there.
Yeah, I'm enjoying this.
And the last one, don't forget to follow us at The Look Back Show. Stay updated. Never forget, The Look Back Show. This has been the Pro Wrestling Look Back Show from the Look Back Podcast. I'm Nick.
And I'm Donovan, telling you to stay classy.